Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. We start our video with a story about a man who watched a woman slam her car door into his, then deny it to his face. But instead of losing his cool, he gave her a taste of petty payback that she'll probably never forget. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. No damage? No problem. I still got my revenge. Years ago, I took my wife to a fabric store. Not really my kind of place. Rows of thread, bullets of cloth, and endless conversations about color matching. So I stayed outside in the car while she shopped. I parked in one of the tight spots near the front and settled in with my coffee and the radio, expecting to scroll my phone for a bit while she did her thing. It was a bit of a tight squeeze, and I instinctively moved my arm off the center console just in case she swung her door open carelessly. Sure enough, bam! She flung her door open and it smacked right into the side of my car. Not a hard hit, but loud enough and jarring enough to make me jolt upright. I turned my head and saw her stepping out of her car like nothing had happened. No glance in my direction, no apology, not even a flicker of recognition that there was someone sitting inside the car she'd just hit. So I got out, calm but irritated. "Excuse me," I said as I approached her. "You just hit my car with your door." She looked up at me mid-stride toward the store and replied with a flat, "No, I didn't." I blinked. I was sitting in the car, I heard it, I felt it, and I saw your door hit mine." She didn't even break stride. "No, I didn't," she snapped and kept walking into the store. I stood there for a second, baffled. There was a faint scuff where her door had made contact, nothing major, just a little mark in the paint, not worth calling insurance or causing a full scene over. But it was the principle. All I wanted was a simple, "Hey, sorry about that," something human. Instead, she acted like I was invisible and doubled down on denial. So I decided, all right then, if she wanted to pretend nothing happened, I could play that game too, and I had time to kill. About 20 minutes later, she came out of the store with her little bag of purchases and saw me still parked there, just chilling. She immediately narrowed her eyes like I had personally insulted her fabric selection. I could tell she was pissed that I was still around. As she neared her car, I rolled down my window and gave her a friendly nod. "I didn't do anything to your car," I said casually. She turned on her heel. "What?" I repeated slowly, "I didn't do anything to your car. It's fine, nothing at all." She glared at me like I'd just confessed to slashing her tires, and then the show began. She spent the next 20 minutes inspecting every square inch of her car, walking around it slowly, squinting at the panels, crouching down to examine the lower doors. Every now and then she'd throw me a dirty look, and I'd respond with a sweet smile and a cheerful, "I didn't do anything to your car. Nope, nothing at all." You could see her trying to figure out what angle I was playing. Did I key her car, loosen a valve stem? Maybe she thought I'd stuck gum on her bumper or left a note somewhere hidden. She circled her car no less than 4 times, becoming increasingly frustrated with each pass. At one point, she even opened her trunk like she was checking to see if I'd tampered with her groceries or stashed a feral raccoon inside. Every 5 minutes or so, just to keep her on edge, I'd repeat my line, always friendly, always calm, "I didn't do anything to your car." After nearly 25 minutes of psychological tug-of-war, she gave up. With one final glare, she slammed her car door shut and peeled out of the lot like a teenager who just lost a video game. My wife came out not long after, smiling and holding a few fabric swatches. "You're in a weirdly good mood for a guy who's been waiting in a car for an hour," she said. I grinned and shrugged. Let's just say I found a way to entertain myself. That tiny scuff on my car, totally worth it. The image of her crawling around her own vehicle in a panic while you sat there smiling is brilliant. You didn't even raise your voice, and yet you absolutely wrecked her afternoon. That little scuff on your door, honestly, worth every second. And our second story. Teen treats me like her closet maid. Her mom reminds her I'm a person. I work at large clothing chain, and over time I become one of those utility employees who gets tossed into whatever section needs coverage. One day I'm folding jeans on the floor, and the next I'm reorganizing the shoe department or behind the register checking people out or helping someone figure out why their online return is flagged in the system. Basically, if there's a gap, I'm the human duct tape they slap over it. So the other day, I was assigned to cashier duty. Now, one of the lesser-known parts of working register is what happens to all the stuff people don't want. If someone decides mid-checkout that they don't want a shirt, pair of jeans, or a jacket after all, we don't just shove it under the counter. We collect those unwanted items and bring them to customer service when we go on a break. From there, floor associates, which on any other day might end up being me again, are responsible for returning the items to their proper places. So I'm midway through my shift, zoning out just enough to keep the retail smile pasted on without thinking too hard, when a mother and her teenage daughter come up to my register. The daughter, probably around 17, was carrying a literal mountain of clothing. She dumped it dramatically on the counter, creating a colorful avalanche of denim, lace, and those weirdly tiny crop tops we can never keep in stock. The daughter immediately launched into decision mode, pulling pieces out of the pile and sorting them into keep and reject stacks with the intensity of someone deciding which outfits make the cut for a vacation Instagram reel. As I began scanning the keep pile, she started shoving her don't wants across the counter to me one at a time, holding each out like a queen gifting a peasant something beneath her station. "Here, I don't want these," she said with a sigh, like it was such a chore to speak. Her mom, who looked to be in her mid-30s and had the air of someone who's seen this behavior one too many times, raised an eyebrow and glanced at the fitting room just a few feet away. "Honey," she said, "you're literally standing right next to where you picked those up. Why don't you just hang them back yourself while he checks you out?" The daughter groaned and rolled her eyes in that signature teenage way that communicates just how done she was with her mom existing. "Mom, that's part of their job. It's no big deal." Now, yes, technically she's not wrong. It's part of my job to handle unwanted items, but there's this thing called common courtesy, and when you're inches away from the rack where you got the clothes, and I'm already scanning a pile the size of a small bear, it's just the decent thing to do. It's not about workload, it's about attitude. Still, I smiled and kept it professional. I took the item she handed me and said, "Sure, I can get those back for you." My shift was almost over, and I was picturing my walk to the break room like it was a trip to Bali. That's when the mom decided she'd had enough. She reached over, took the rejected clothes right out of my hands, and placed them back into her daughter's arms. Then she looked her daughter straight in the eyes and said, "He has other things to get done, and I'm sure his time is better spent helping people on the register than putting your things away that you're too lazy to put away yourself." I could have cried. It was like someone opened the clouds and a choir of retail angels started singing. That kind of support is rare. Usually if parents are there at all, they're half distracted or enabling the exact behavior you're dealing with. But this mom, she got it. I scanned the rest of their items and made sure to throw on every eligible discount I could find. Price adjustment? Applied. Extra promo? Boom. I even threw in one of our "Thanks for being awesome" coupons we save for genuinely kind customers. Mom thanked me with a smile. Daughter looked mildly defeated, but probably didn't even realize the lesson she just got. And me? My day instantly improved tenfold. Sometimes all it takes is one adult to remind the next generation that retail workers are people too. Good parenting there. The whole "it's their job" excuse is too often used to justify leaving behind a mess. Yeah, the custodial staff are paid to clean up, but being messy and making their job harder is rude. And our last story. Neighbors caused damage to my property. When we bought our house 5 years ago, we were drawn to the peaceful backyard and the view of the trees behind us. The property backed into another home with a wide yard and no fence between us, just a patch of mature trees and a low slope. It felt private enough, quiet enough. Then Karen moved in. Karen, her husband, and their 3 kids turned that quiet backyard into a sports free-for-all. Wiffle ball, street hockey, football, soccer, every day after school, weekends, all summer. Balls constantly flew into our yard, sometimes over the roof. I can't count how many times I found someone's gear on our lawn. The first time a baseball hit our siding, I walked next door. "Hey," I said, "just wanted to give you a heads up. One of the kids hit our house. There's a small dent." Karen smiled and waved it off. "They're just being kids. You know how it is." I asked if they could move their setup away from the shared line. "Oh yeah, sure," she said, already turning away. "We'll figure something out." They didn't. Over the next 3 years, it got worse. We replaced a cracked window in the sunroom. The siding looked like it had been used for batting practice. Multiple dents, puck scuffs, actual holes. We kept records, photos, dates, stray items collected from our yard. Every time we brought it up, it was the same deflection. Karen said she'd talked to the kids. Her husband barely said a word. Last summer, we hired a contractor for an estimate. He walked the property with me, poking at warped panels and split seams, and finally said, "If you're replacing, it's got to be the whole back wall. The integrity's gone." The quote came back at just over $9,000. I brought the quote over, printed with photos. I wasn't angry. I just wanted a fair solution. "We're open to splitting it," I said. "Or if you want to bring in your own contractor, that's fine too." Karen nodded. "That seems fair. Let me talk to my husband." Weeks passed. Nothing. I followed up. No reply. Then, finally, an email. "We've discussed this and don't feel responsible for what children do accidentally. Best of luck." I was stunned. After 3 years of promises and property damage, they were walking away? So I sent them a formal letter documenting everything with final quotes and a notice that we'd be seeking damages if they didn't respond. Silence. So I took them to court. I filed a property damage claim through small claims court and included every piece of evidence, dated photos, contractor quotes, 3 years of documented complaints. I even brought in the contractor to testify about the extent and pattern of the damage. Karen's defense: "We can't control where the ball goes." The judge didn't buy it. He noted the repeated requests, their refusal to alter the play area, and the clear signs of accumulated damage. The judgment: $9,274 in damages plus court costs. Karen turned red as a tomato in the courtroom. Her husband didn't say a word. Outside the building, as we walked to the car, she actually shouted, "You really sued us over a few dents?" I didn't answer. I didn't need to. They appealed, lost again. Payment was ordered on installments, 3 years to pay, garnished from wages. As of last month, the first payment hit our account. Finally. They're bitter now, of course they are. They built a cheap lattice screen along the back of their yard like it's some kind of barrier, and their kids barely come near the fence anymore. I don't mind. I haven't seen a single ball or puck in my yard since the hearing. This spring, I replaced the siding, every panel on the rear wall fresh and clean, and then I installed a tall cedar privacy fence out of pocket just for peace of mind. Karen was out clipping hedges when the fence went up. She glared. "You know, you didn't have to take it this far." I looked at the fence, then at my newly fixed siding. 3 years was far enough. And I love that after losing in court, they still had the audacity to act like you were the unreasonable one? Like you dented your own house and then dragged them into court for sport? Please. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.